Hello again. Alright, in the second part of this lesson we're going to go ahead and open up our master file again and then size it for output and then save it off as an output file that we will use for emailing or for website use. So let's go into Bridge here, find that file again, and again it was down near the bottom, the master file. There it is. Incidentally, here's the 20 by 30 photograph that we saved off in the part 1 of this lesson. Let's click on the master file to select it and double click it to open it up in Photoshop. And here it is. Again, the first thing we want to do is go ahead and flatten these layers down and make the changes in these instructions permanent to the pixels. So we'll go over here, click on Layer, drop down to Flatten Image. The next thing we want to do is change it from the 16-bit image to an 8-bit image. So we'll come up over here to Image, drop down to Mode, swing over and down to the 8-bit channel. And now it's an 8-bit image. Our next thing that we would like to do in preparing this to go out to the email or for the internet is to change the profile, the color profile associated with the image. We can come up here. We already have it selected now for sRGB. We can click on it. It's going to change from the Pro Photo to the sRGB color space. We'll click OK. Now that is done. Next, we need to resize the image for intended output. So let's go over here to Image, down to Image Size. Now here is where you have a couple of choices. Normally I size mine resolution at 72. You could do it at 96. 96 is probably going to move into being the default. In the old days 72 was the default pixels per inch, 72 pixels per inch. Now I think 96 is moving in that direction. But for fun we'll stick with the 72 right now. We are constraining proportions, so I can simply put in an appropriate size and width. Let's just go ahead and make the height, let's say 6 inches. It'll give us a 9 wide. We are going to be going from a 47 megabyte sized file to not even a megabyte sized file. We are going to be going much smaller. So we need to choose the correct algorithm here, and that'd be bicubic sharper. We can click OK now, and it'll resize. Let's go to print size. We can see the image. This will be a good size to email somebody and a decent size to have for viewing on the internet, on somebody's website. We can sharpen it just a little bit if we'd like to. Come up here to Filter, drop down. Now I often use Sharpen Edges now. So we'll go ahead and click on Sharpen Edges. And if I don't like that, which it looks a little too strong to me, I will Control Z, undo that, Filter, Sharpen, come down to Unsharp Mask, and that's definitely wrong because the strength is dependent upon the dots per inch. So let's take that back to about 40. Let's toggle that preview on and off. I think I like that better. So we'll go OK. So far we've opened the master file, we've flattened it, we've changed the mode to 8-bit. We've converted the profile to the sRGB color space. We've resized it to something appropriate to email or for posting on a website. And we've sharpened. Here we are again. The last thing to do is to save it. So we'll click File, Save As. Now a couple little nuances here. We want to make sure we are in the correct color space, and we are. We do not want to call this a master any longer. We might say email, or email. Doesn't really matter, just some way so you can delineate what this particular image is going to be used for. And since we're going to post it to the internet or email it, it needs to be a GIF, or pardon me, a JPEG file right here, JPEG. It could be a GIF file too, but the JPEG has really become the norm. So make it a JPEG file, click Save. You have the options now for compression. It is going to be a compressed file. It can either have very little compression and be at 12, or you can compress the crud out of it and have it down here around 1. Take a look. Look at the pattern when we compress it a lot and make it a really small file. Not really a good idea. If you want somebody to really appreciate your image, I usually leave mine with as little compression as possible. We can toggle our preview on and off and not really see any loss of detail when it's at 12. Way back at 1. I'll toggle that on and off, and it is a substantial difference. Alright, so here we go. Click OK. We'll see this change to the name change, and we now have a file, an output file we can use to email somebody or post to a website. Right, that sums up what to do with a master file and how to prepare it for output. And now we'll get started with some future lessons where we dive into some of the intermediate items that get real fun and exciting. See you next time.